Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and this is another Tabletop Simulator map for Chapter 8 of Hoard of the Dragon Queen. This is the Wyvern Landing Pad Assault. This is where the Wyverns from the previous map, you can see here, Wyvern Assault, where the Wyverns landed, and on this flying castle. And I kind of wanted a encounter on this landing pad, so I made a gantry and the pad itself where the wyverns come down attached to the castle. And you'll see all this here in time lapse. Now I'm going to be looking at the camera and looking down every once in a while to commentate on the video. But first, before we go too far into this, you can see I've set up my table. I have put the bags out that I want to use. I've already selected my props. Didn't record that to save you some time. But I spend some time before I make a map sketching, but also finding the props that I want to use and setting it out and then getting to work. Now first, let me show you the sketches, all right? So here's the sketches for the Wyvern landing pad. And as you can see here, there are several different ones. There is the main one that I have here. And then I also did, I think, a top view and two different side views. One with just more giant spires, the other one just a little more reasonable. But as you can see here, always starting with the sketch, here's the idea. I knew that I wanted to have this assault, and I wanted it to be, high energy, and it's taking a place up in the clouds. And, the cultists reasonably needed a place for the wyverns to land on this giant's castle. So this is why this is here. So anyway, let's get back to the model. As you can see here, it's in the end, it gets pretty darn close to what the initial sketch was. What am I doing here? Okay, I'm laying out my ice spires here. I love those things. They're on the model. They're on the model workshop. I recommend you find those and add them to your mods, because I have used these things now many, many times. But I've learned a lot from the last map I did, which you can see on the channel, which is the Wyvern Assault map, where the wyverns are flying through the canyons and all these ice spires and mist and fog, and there's combat, and the cultists are following them with their own dragon mounts, and it was kind of an insane battle. It turned out to be a little bit of a nightmare running that map, which I've said already in that commentary. So it was difficult. So I learned a lot from that map, and I felt like, okay, I need to pull back. I can't have too many things up top getting in the way of the models. I can't have this landing platform or whatever it's going to be too high up, because it does mess with tokens in a weird kind of way, or at least it's doing that for me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. So I've learned quite a bit from that map, and I didn't want to see the same complications happen when I was putting this together. So I was very careful with it. As you can see here, it goes by really quick, but there's a little token sitting on the landing pad. I'm constantly taking a character token and just moving it around when I put some land bases down to make sure, okay, is this token going to fall through? Is it because sometimes when you mess with the volume scale, you can make something really thick, but when you put the token on it, it sinks. It just disappears. Not sure why, because sometimes it does it on some models, and other times it's fine, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me what's happening there. But anyway, I have the token now, and I keep a sample token out at all times to make sure it's going to work effectively, at least how I envisioned it. So anyway, I'm working on putting snow on the underside. There might have been a better way of doing that. It was a little tricky turning those things upside down. These glaciers, which come from HeroScape, by the way, I have the actual physical models. I mean, I have HeroScape, the board game or miniature game. Great stuff. I wish they still made it. But when you flip those glaciers upside down, they almost go invisible. It's a little weird, so they were really tricky to deal with. And I wish there was something in Tabletop Simulator where I could select the entire model and just move it up and down, left and right. I wish there was like a selection tool that would just take everything. You didn't want to size anything. You just want to move it left or right, the whole thing. As far as I know, there isn't one in there, and I've never been able to find it. If they're watching, hey, that would be great. Just an overall selection tool. Anyway, so I'm building up the lower base here. Again, just like the sketch, wanted to have like snow, ice kind of melting around the sides, or just frozen, really, not melting. It wouldn't be melting, but frozen on the sides and the bottom. I guess, okay, I stepped away from the table here. I forgot to edit this out. So that was me stepping away from the table, probably to get coffee in time lapse. But here, okay, so I'm moving down the gantry. Those HeroScape glaciers are so, I've been using those like crazy. They've been so beneficial, especially in Chapter 8, where there's a lot of snow and a lot of things going on. Again, working the bottom of the gantry. Putting in these little stone fence pillars, like fence walling in there. I think I ended up taking those out at some point, actually. I mean, look, you may spend time sketching and doing the conceptual work, which I highly advise. But sometimes when you go into the map, it's all visual, right? So some things just get edited out, taken out. If it doesn't look right, take it out, right? Just take it out. Even though you may have it in a sketch or concept worked, if it doesn't work visually, take it out. Okay, so here I am, really butchering my map, right? So I'm taking out all the snow, and I'm putting in these temple walls, turning them horizontal, and making them now part of the platform. Now, this was an experiment, right? I saved it right before I did this. If you do this, just save your map right beforehand, then experiment a little bit. Maybe you can even save a version 2 of your map just in case you maybe, I like how this turned out. And maybe which one should I pick? I just recently did that with another map you'll see here recently. But, so that way you can kind of look at both versions and kind of pick the one you want. But here I'm just kind of testing the waters here. And I spent a lot of time on this and then didn't end up using it. So it's just one of those things, right? So it's part of the creative process to go through and find things that work and don't work. Or they look like they'll work, but then when you start to lay it out and you see it all finished, it's like, no. So this is what happened here. Now here I'm putting in the ice spires. I'm merging them with the pillars. You can do that with the snow or anything really. You're merging those models to make it look like there's more texture to them, or to make it look like, in this case, ice has frozen up against those pillars. It was just a small little detail. And again, I know I've said this before. Don't get lost in your details. Don't spend too much time in those, because you can take too much time and drive yourself crazy. Oh, I must have gotten up again and grabbed a coffee, because here's another dead spot. Man, that's a lot of coffee on this map. Ugh. Okay, so now I've kind of just settled on the gantry right now. These spires here, okay. I got up for more coffee. These ice spires, they're in the middle of the gantry. That was laid there on purpose in a very methodical way to allow for cover for the assault that was going to happen on the landing pad, with a cultist running out from the doorway to attack the players. So each side had spires they could hide behind. So that was pretty beneficial. Matter of fact, it really changed the battlefield quite a bit. My ranged characters were having a very tough time with that. On purpose. Definitely on purpose. Okay, so here I am now. I'm approaching the castle. Now, this is not the entire castle. There's no way I would sit there and try to make the entire castle in Tabletop Simulator, unless I had 3 weeks to do it, and probably 5 times the amount of table width and length to do that, because this is a cloud giant's castle, right? So it's not going to happen. So here is just a small portion, a snippet of the castle, basically where the gantry goes into the castle, one of the side spires, and there's a doorway there for the cultists to go in and out, for when the wyverns come, for visitors or whatever not, other cultists coming in and whatnot. So that was, this is only a small portion. It's not the whole thing. And again, I'm using these ice spires, and I'm just creating, using the volume tool and just really expanding them. It almost has a Fortress of Solitude kind of look to it, which was not the inspiration, but as I look at it, I can see that now. Great design work. I mean, not mine, but the Fortress of Solitude. It's just, still to this day, I can completely visualize it. That's when you got a good design. When, 20, 30 years later, it still stands out. All right, so here I'm putting in statues. This is that environmental storytelling kind of stuff. Really, the layout of the map is done. I know where I want things. I knew I wanted cover for both sides. There's also a dead man zone in between, or a no man's land, or whatever they call that, in between those spires on the gantry. So one of the sides would have to cross to get to the other. So all that stuff's in place, right? So now this is all the details of environmental storytelling. So like the statues, those are probably, giant martyrs, or maybe they were famous giants and warriors at the time that Blagofkis, who's the giant who owns the castle, maybe put in, maybe put him into the structure of the castle at one point. Okay, now I'm putting in towers. Those towers I've used before, I think in the swamp maps, and they're from not Heroescape. The glaciers are from Heroescape, but they're from Skyrim. And again, I wanted towers way up because I wanted to put 2 cultists up there who were just peppering the landing field with all kinds of arrows from way up top. So it made it difficult for my players to hit them up there, right? So that sometimes they would have to burn an action by holding their action before they get attacked, just waiting for somebody up there to kind of step out for a moment. So it was very advantageous. Those towers worked out really nice. Okay, looks like I'm trying to figure out here. Okay, I'm trying to look at the board, put a texture down or an image. It was really hard to find a good sky image. I don't even think that really was what I wanted, but it was pretty close. Again, when you're looking for texture images too, I mean, you can eat up so much time doing that. So look, spend maybe 20, 30 minutes on it and then move on. You know, you just, time is the essence. Time of essence, time is the essence, something like that. You know, in other words, as a DM, you don't have a lot of time to prep things, so you got to move. All right, so putting in these flames, I just imagine kind of like a runway where an airplane would come in. You would have some kind of beacon, right, for them to come in. So I decided that was probably a good spot for those. And then these hexagons, these are HeroScape models, and they have a little bit of texture on top, HeroScape snow. And I wanted to mimic like the landscape of Iceland, and also because that's where you find a lot of that stuff, a lot of those hexes, like stone hexes. And then also another game that I loved playing in VR called the Solus Project. And I remember that really being so striking as a visual design in that game that it still stuck out to me. Matter of fact, that was the first thing I thought of, not necessarily the Iceland. But those hexes, I like the look of it. So I stacked them on kind of both sides of the gantry. Just a visual thing. No one ever used them. No one ever stepped foot on them. But they just, just a visual appeal. So it looks like, okay, I just noticed I went back to the snow. So I got rid of the temple walls for the floor. And we're getting close to the end. And I will show you what's going to happen here. Like my other videos, we'll get to the end of the time lapse. And then we'll do a real-time view of the final version of the map and show you all the little changes and whatnot. It'll be pretty quick. Here I am adding some smoke, fog. I think this is a smoke or fog effect. I didn't want to spend too much time on this because obviously I've said this before, but if you put too many visual effects, you can tank your frame rate. So I was careful with this. I just wanted to add a little bit of atmosphere right below the bridge to make it, so it looked like clouds. Like there was, if you fall off this, you're going to be falling thousands of feet. And unless you have feather fall in your spells, you're dead. There's no way you're coming back. I'm not even gonna let you resurrect your body. You are smashed to pieces. Okay, so now I'm messing with lighting. Here's one of my favorites. Yeah, number 46. Number 46, Nightfall, or Night. I think it's just Night 2 or 3 or something like that. Always looks good. I don't know. And I think I used it as a gradient as well. Gives it a different look. Somewhat different reflections and different things. So still kind of messing with some of that fog, making the final adjustments here to some of the visual effects. Got about 20 seconds left on this time lapse, and then we'll go to the real time. But I'm nearing the end here. The tokens aren't on the board just yet, but everything is working out, which is nice. The tokens aren't falling through the map. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up here. We'll go to the real-time view, and I'll show you exactly how it ended up. But thank you for watching. Just give it a few seconds here, and we'll switch over, and I'll show you the final result. All right, here we are, people. This is the final map. As you can see, I have completely changed a lot of the lighting. Everything is very blue. I wanted to have that kind of icy, cold feel. I've added a visual effect with some snow. But mostly everything has remained the same. There are not too many changes here. Obviously, all my tokens are here. This is where the heroes would come in. I thought about putting wyvern tokens down, but I didn't. But anyway, you can see here, this is where they start. They can kind of look all the way down the gantry. As you can see here, also more visual effects as far as a layer of mist and fog on the gantry itself. And of course, this is the first spire they can come to get full cover. They can hop over to this next one, full cover again. And then, of course, here's the kind of no man's land right in here in between the cultists and the heroes. So they had to traverse that one side or the other, So here's actually almost how I had things laid out. They, obviously they were using the spires themselves. That I had tokens up here. I didn't put them in the towers because that creates problems. They were kind of sitting on top, but technically they were inside the tower. Anyway, they had a great shot of the entire, or great view of the entire gantry and landing pad, so they had easy pickings from up there. But this is from the cultist perspective. Again, you can see all the mist and everything, and they were coming out with crossbows, bows and arrows, different things. I think a few spells, a magic missile to get to the characters. But no one fell over the side, funny enough, which I kind of anticipated somebody throwing somebody off the side of the bridge. But you see, it looks like, besides the light change, everything is here. Now, I added a bigger glacier, I think, in the background here to kind of fill it out a little bit more. I think I made some of these ice spires a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger. More glaciers kind of added in. Here's my board back here. This is where I typically would put, like, here's my spiritual weapons. And I think these are more heroes and whatnot. Like, there's my druid could turn into a bear and a tiger, not a tiger, a bear and a wolf and all kinds of stuff. So I have those on standby. But anyway, I try to make a board out here just in case I need it. But anyway, guys, this is it. The sketch and the build turned out to be pretty spot on. I didn't really have to change too much. And wow, I tell you, remember, I always forget to turn off my phone when I'm recording. And the funny thing is, no one contacts me until I start recording. Anyway, added this huge spire right here on the side because I didn't like how some of this snow was looking. It was kind of hard to line it all up. So I added these huge icy spires, and it kind of made sense structurally to me that would be like this really hard thing that would keep the gantry up because of all the winds and different things. Whoa, I'm all over the place. Here's the other side of it. Again, I love these reflections on the spires. Anyway, so that's it, guys. I don't want to spend too much time here. It's already been long enough. The time lapse was kind of tricky to capture. But this is the landing pad for the Wyverns. There's a couple more maps coming, at least one or two more, and then Hoard of the Dragon Queen will be done. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned and tolerating all this, all right? Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next video.